Hi there, it's Natasha and thank you so much for joining me today. This is the card that we are going to be creating, and I'm using these 4 cute birds that I used on a couple of cards ago. And so they have 4 birds and the stamp is all joined together. But that doesn't really matter because I am going to be fussy cutting these out anyway. So in my mini Misty here, I have the stamp all ready to go and a piece of Bristol Smooth cardstock. Now one side is kind of has a texture to it, is slightly rougher, and one side is smooth, and I am going to be stamping on the smooth side today. I use this paper in particular because it is so good to colour on when I'm using my zigs. So this is always the paper that I pretty much use, although I do have to bear in mind that it is a slightly different, it's like a slightly off-white to the Nina Solar white that I use for my card bases and card fronts. So this won't matter because I will be fussy cutting these little owls out, and they'll be coloured in, so you won't be able to see it at all. So I have stamped it 3 times just to make sure I have plenty of each owl, and I have stamped it in some VersaFine Onyx Black ink, and then I'm just putting some clear embossing powder over top. This one in particular is the Simon Says stamp one for fine detail, but you can use any that you have. You could even use white and you could even use a black embossing powder with some embossing ink, and that would give exactly the same effect. I just like using the VersaFine Onyx Black because it has it's a pigment ink, so it stays wet a little bit longer, and it does stamp really crisply. So I kind of was thinking of a rainbow here, so I'm just putting out the zigs that I'm going to use. And in my last card I made each bird like 2 different colours, but this time I'm going to make the whole bird be the same colour. And I wasn't sure how. I was actually going to fade it out from top to bottom, but then I changed my mind on this little bird and I decided to just go around the outside and then fade it on to the inside. Obviously these are not even remotely realistic little birds. They are just being super colourful and super kind of creative with whatever colours I want to use. So I am just, as I said, I only have a certain amount of zigs and things, so I don't have the perfect colours for the rainbow. So I have that pink one and then this red one here, and I'm just really trying to, you can see I have a piece of paper towel down beside me, and when I use my water brush I am just sort of wiping off some of the ink, because often there is too much ink on the little bird to give it nice definition that it's lighter in the middle of the bird. So I have my orange one and I have my yellow one, and I always struggle a little bit with what colour to do the wings. I never have any sort of genius ideas, but I will just come back in a minute and do all of those. Heading into the greens, and sometimes when I think the outside's not dark enough I'll just go around it again and play with it until I get a look that I like. Really, there's no sort of rhyme or reason as to how much I'm putting on, but as I said, you can see that the ink moves really well and leaves no sort of definitive lines unless I've drawn back over it again, which is really good. Now, as I have said in previous videos, I do the most basic colouring that there is possible because I am not good at it. And you guys are all so very kind and have the kindest comments ever. But yeah, I really just do a basic job that kind of gets me through. Colouring is definitely not my forte, but that's okay. And so I've added a little bit darker blue to the outside of this birdie because I felt like he didn't have enough kind of contrast between the outside and the inside of his little body. So I fixed him up, and then I'm just going to come back and mainly do like a darker colour or a lighter colour of the same colour, if that makes sense, for their wings. I think that's what I pretty much ended up doing. You can see there I am just going to use I scribbled some black ink down, and that's what I'm going to use their feet with. I have fussy cut them all out. Then I have my Faber-Castell big brush pit pen, and I'm going to go around the outside, and you always do it from the back because you never want to accidentally get a big mistake through the front of your bird, and so you just go around the outside and it just makes them look a whole lot better. Then I have this Jelly Roll glaze pen. I think I bought this one from scrapbook.com, And I just put a dot on the eyeballs, and it's really hard to see in the video, but it makes the eyeballs like glazed and kind of almost like a little bump. It ends up looking quite cool. So I have my card base, which will be a 110-pound Nina Solar White, and then my card front I always use 80-pound Nina Solar White, and I kind of want to have a strip going through the middle of my card that these little birdies are going to sit on, and then I'm going to have a piece of twine, so it's kind of like they're sitting on a wire. Birds on a wire was what I was thinking for this little card. So this is going to go through the middle, and I did think about popping it up, but in the end I'm going to just put this green piece behind it as some contrast, and I have chosen the happy birthday, just plain and simple. This stamp set was from AliExpress, as were the little birdies, but I will try and link the little birds below. I haven't been able to find the sentiment stamp set, and but there are heaps of different simple greetings that you could put down the bottom here that would be fabulous. So I'm just going to use some VersaFine Onyx Black to stamp this little greeting, and just roughly line it up with the paper that I have there that's not stuck down at all. So I have my happy birthday in place, and now it's kind of just a case of putting everything together. So as I said, I have this little piece of green cardstock just that I had in my stash, and I'm going to use some liquid glue to put down this white piece flat onto the green. And then it just kind of makes it stand out a little bit from the white. There was a lot of white in the card, and I felt it was just too much. This is some twine from AliExpress, which I will try and link down below as well. And I'm just going to wrap it around ever so simply and use a little bit of double-sided tape to hold it in place. And so I just want it to be obviously down the bottom because the birds will be sitting on it. So, and I'm just eyeballing it to get it sort of as even as I can, and then using another little piece of tape to secure it in place. This card ended up being one of those cards that I really like, and in fact I have already filmed the next card that will come out after this one on YouTube, and that one is one that I really like as well. They're super simple, there's nothing super special about them, but I just end up really liking them. They're just some of those cards that you make that you think, yep, that's a good one. So I quite like the simplicity, and yet the little birds make it sort of nice and colourful. So I've added some foam tape, and that is from AliExpress as well. I get all of my foam tape and double-sided tape from AliExpress, and I have just put that down nice and flat onto the middle of the card. And then I'm just going to add some foam squares, which are also from AliExpress, and add a couple to the back of each bird. I want to make sure that they're nice and secure, and then I'm just going to have their little toes kind of sitting on the wire, and that will pretty much be the end of the card. There's only a couple of little things that I will do just to finish it off, and that is to put some Wink of Stella, which is like a sparkly pen. This one is from AliExpress as well, in their eyes, and that makes them kind of glittery, and some glossy accents to make their little eyeballs kind of stick out, and 3D-ish. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you got some ideas from this card, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks, bye!